Kana azofa muti haina mata. Kakaipawo mana. Regai munzwe ndimbokarowa. Hanzi amai Maria mwana wenyu kani. Kana azofa muti haina mata. Kana azofa muti haina mata. Ndikasvika kudenga muti ndaina mata. O mumurevere. O mundireverere. Abi, Zirise Abinyo, how are you? Mondregira voice rangu. Nasi ndinenge COVID pauro menu. Something happening pauro pangu. Moms ana murise ndakasimba. Mkuma Max zvirikuita sei makadini. Mondregererawo wakomana. Voice rangu nhasi paita nyaya, but ndichazokumbira kana ndichazoita ka request kana ndakupedzesa hanzvadzi maswera ndatiswera atete joy makadi taps zviri sei mwana wamai tapiwa mutero fatso farai moyo zviri kubatana here Joshua zviri sei kuda zviri kufamba bekezela moyo vakuru vebhora here farai moyo zviri kudini. Here comes to bekezela moya. Yesi mdara Alex Zenda mdara wamasharubu zviri sei preference Noah ndakasimba mwana wamai Kivi zviri sei Gift Lens how are you Sheila Gonese zviri sei atete Skosana Brian Energy Mudombo Clarence Masterpiece Chinemo preference Prince Ndaraman zviri kudini atete Max Nobet Beto zviri kudini ndakasimba. Welcome you all guys. Is your glass of water ready? Yes, cleaned, got it before I even start. Say Black Carlos zviri kufamba here takudzwa mpirimi zviri kudini ngatiwe more blessing mavhura zviri sei atete Washington nyaira zvakadini up jola zviri kufamba here tinashe blessing love energy mudombo James Chwara zviri kudini guys ndakasimba vana vamai Nora Jaji zviri sei blessing chance Jaravan zviri kufamba here. Salute you all guys. Today we've got a nice topic nas. Toda kuona who is who. Hadzita hapo. Thanks Mkoma Solomon. Yuda Roni zvirikudini mzia. Say murise ndakasimba andina kusimba nasi something happened very bad. Ngoma Kevi tapinda zviri sei. Something really happened these past 2 days. Something really bad happened. I'm not in my usual mood. Hanzi ndangoya kuzoti good night guys. Zvakanakai Mkoma Cuthbert. Tinosangana ku YouTube. Kevin zviri kudini James Mkumba zviri kufamba here. Inina not in my usual mood. Not in my usual mood. Elson Chatira zviri sei. Elijah Menyu zviri kufamba here Mkoma Erija. Hanzi maenda nengoro yemoto here Mkoma Erija. Ndiri right mwana wamai. Hanzi Eria waenda nengoro yemoto. Mkoma Deni Gushungo muri sei. Blessing Matvenga hanzi from Moza Tete. Pakadini Mkoma Blessing. Baba Ryan welcome. Nachimbembera Mkoma Erija. Eria waenda nengoro yemoto. Hanzi vanhu vakatasa Eria ino pam achienda kudenga ne chariot of fire. Taizvidzidza primary. Nai, how are you my brother? I'm well Mkoma Tafadzwa zviri sei. I'm not very well. I'm not very well. The mood is swinging. Bad things happening. Varoi vandigara bamba varoi. Kundigara bamba but ndofunga Mwari anondikundisa. Those anoda Mwari wandonamata. Anondikundisa. When I'm down, some people lift me up. And Ngoma Karim ndakasimba Roy hanzi brother zviri sei hapana chakanaka hondo dzega dzega gogo vatino zviri kufamba here 𝗣ci, how are you? Mkoma, your presentation should also be broadcasted on Change Radio. I think so. One day I think I'll be broadcasting from Change Radio. I'll be talking from Change Radio. Very soon I'm joining the crew. I'm just waiting for things to calm down, then I'll be on Change Radio. Anzi diri hora pakaipa diri hora iro vanogara diri hora rembanje moi leadership fungai zviri sei Silvanus muchazondida musadavira zviri kufamba here madla sami zviri kudini. My mood swinging, guys. Greetings to you all. Welcome. Nkowani Mpofu. The best way forward is to move forward. Definitely, we need to move forward. Tino Fara is really say I'll be beaming live on a change radio. I'm joining the Change Radio crew very soon. I could have joined a long time ago, but it's fluctuating situations. And imurgona tuda pleasurable zviteka kunakidza mam uchita tilt back kamusoro uchiterera Change Radio pakaipa hanzi Tenford ndigushungo ngwira hanzi basa rauri kubata ruombe Yuda struggle. It's not only about holding a firearm, but if you know Mkoma Den, thank you so much. Aaron amasenza Mkoma tipewo mari tatambura Mkoma. Mkoma Aaron, I'm financially down. Something bad happened yesterday and today. Zvekuti ndichatombokumbira asatambokumbira anything for myself, but I think ndasvika papoint yekuti kuna anogona kundibatsira 1 or 2, not alone, not message zvenyu, but 1 or 2 anogona kuti ndazvipira regai ndikubatsirei Mkoma ndibatsirike naye. Pane maproblems andawirwa nawo. Yuda Ibrahim, God is in it. Hanzi unokunda chete. Thank you Mkoma Ibrahim. Yuda zviri kufamba ba Malcolm short. Baba Malcolm zviri kudini. Hazvina kunyatsondimirira mushe. Ndoda kudona one side I'm hanging. But munoziva kuti I'm a fighter and I always hang. When things get bad to where they are, especially this April, kune andigara bhamba kune wemweya yetsvina, but kuti vanondiwisira pasi zvinonetsa. Ndakasvika pakuzvibata. Unoziva kuti nezuro nanhasi ingadai musina kundiona kana live ndakatovharirwa ndiri mapurisa, but ndakasvika pakuti Mwari wandonamata anenge anoziva. Pane zvaanoziva zviri pandiri zvaanoda kuti ndigogona kurarama upenyu hwakanaka ndisingaiswe masimbi nemapurisa nezviro zvakapotsa zvaitika, and nhasi zvapotsa zvaitika futi. Andimona chamisa chete saka ndotenda Mwari vakwanisa kuti ndive calm as I am, because as don't cry man pakaipa. Hanzi Mwari wapindira nhasi, nezuro nanhasi Mwari wakapindira, because nezuro ndakasvika pakubvunza munhu kuti do you have steel balls man, and if you have got steel balls I can melt them, and I was ready to melt them, but Mwari wakapindira. Mkoma Teresa, hanzi haufe zvekumhanya. God is with you all the time you are in the battle breakthrough. Thank you Mkoma Teresa. But yesterday I almost got there, because ndakasvika pakubvunza munhu kuti do you have steel balls? If you have got steel balls, I've got the furnace man. I can melt them right now. So the guy akatozoona ndatochinja face akatoona kuti no, it was better to involve the police, and the police were called. You know, British police, when a white man reports a crime, they descend on you. they really descend on you. And it was not a criminal offense anyway. It was just a civil matter. So I had to teach the police yesterday to tell them, look, don't ever underrate black people. We come to this country, we go to school. We don't talk rubbish. We go to school, we learn. When I am talking to a policeman, I am talking from an informed point of view. So the police, no, the truth, the law. I think 4 cars with 8 policemen came. Disappear. I thought it's over because the guy was demanding 586 pounds. I ran around, I got the man, I paid him. Right. I got the man, I paid him 586 pounds. That was congestion fee in London. They got no problem. As talked about power, politics, and leadership. Then kuseni ndikumuka ndishinobuda panzi ndishinomuka baba mbeda gogo ndikati mapurisa again what for saka ndikudongorera so ndikudzika pasi zvikanzi we have come to tow your vehicle ndikati to tow my vehicle why zvikanzi yesterday you pay emission 586 pounds so today we are going to pay congestion fee which is 558 pounds unoziva kuti ine zuro ndakasvika pakutsvaira account yangu yeso kusara ndisina kana cent. Nasi vaudzoka futi wadai 558 pounds. God is protecting me. I think God is protecting me. Saka ndatozoona maakaunti mangu mamasara about 70 pounds. Madam mune mari here madam hawana cent kana cent. Saka ndazota run around, call friends and relatives. Guys, I can't let my X5 go for 500 pounds. The car costs about 6,000 pounds. As it is today, it's worth 6,000, and they wanted just to take it by 500 pounds. So I ran around. Some people contributed. But there's a manager to retrieve the vehicle before it was towed. So the vehicle was outside. But today, police were not here. I think the guy tried to call the police, and the police, they told him, no, yesterday we were there. This guy is tough. You see, I think the police told him, the guy is tough. It's not just an easy go. So yesterday I showed them that I know. You understand? When you know, you know. When you know, you know. Thank you so much, Mkoma Givi. Hey, Mkoma. Pakaipa, guys, sir. As I'm standing right now, I'm between a rope. I'm falling right now. What am I going to use to feed my kids? Things have fallen apart. I'm telling you. But with God's strength, pray for me. I know something will crop up with God's strength. So just pray for me, guys. Pray for me. Just pray for me. I know God will give me strength. I will never fall. Saka I know Mari vanongofuridzira. Like last time, this car I got a problem, X5 it was paid. I know Shepherd don't say anything. But someone forked out 580 pounds to pay for that car. Saka, knowledge is power. I believe it. Knowledge is power. But when I was talking to the police yesterday, I could tell one of those policemen was about 18 or 19 years old. He was just a young boy. I even told him, hey boy, don't be used by the police service. And don't tarnish the police service, in fact. Because if you are talking the way you are talking, you are not behaving professionally. You are supposed to be a professional policeman. When you talk, because this is not a criminal matter. I'm not a criminal. This is a civil matter where you should not poke your nose into this. And I told him, at your age, you should be knowing this. You are a policeman. That there's difference between civil matter and what? And and a criminal matter. And the civil matters are not affected by the courts. They are affected by the sheriff or these bailiffs. So get off your long nose from this. As you are a survivor, Yuda, I hope I will survive. I know I will survive. So don't worry. God will cheer me up. So today's topic, we are 70 now. I think let's start. I'm going to talk about power. I'm going to talk about power, politics, and leadership. This is what I'm going to discuss today. People of Zimbabwe must know what is power. Because Nasi, I just received news that the president of Chad has been shot dead. The president of Chad has been shot dead. And his son has taken over as the president of a country. And that's the same coma. 18-year-old is just walk over to say, yeah, boys, these are young boys who needs to be guided. And I hope the British police, with my report that I'm going to submit to them in regard to the incident, they must improve or change a little bit. Because if they don't change that type of behavior, they end up being smacked by people. And the guy who came, he almost hit me by something. Then the police, I told them, look at this camera. He almost hit my head. But the problem is, hey, be careful. I could have melted these balls with just one kick. This guy could be fine now. He could be fine. And so the issue report, Chad, in Chad, Central Africa. Let me look with let me look his name. Chad president assassinated. President assassinated. Some are saying he was assassinated. One dictator down. Breaking news: Chad president assassinated by militants or militias. Ngoma obi 𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍 Idris Deby or Idris Deby. This guy, Chad Idris Deby, was assassinated on Tuesday, which means today, by militants from the north after 30 years in rule and on the same day of re-election. Babate, this guy has been assassinated after ruling this Chad. This dictator has been in power for 30 years. And today, Tuesday, he was assassinated. And this is the day he was saying he was re-elected as the president of Chad after presiding over this country for 30 years. The arm of Chad issued a statement on Tuesday announcing the news and saying that Deby got injured while commanding troops on the front lines as militants were heading towards the capital city. And this guy has been president of Chad for 30 years. For 30 years. Imagine. For 30 years. And today is finally 36 years. Also 36 years, they are saying 30 years. Let's say he has been there for 36 years. And he has finally got a bullet through his empty skull. Such empty vessels has a bullet in his head, or a bullet passed through his empty skull, or aboro. I didn't want aboro. So Zimbabweans, my comments Zimbabweans. Sorry guys, Zimbabweans were saying we have been praying and praying. Our prayers were answered in Tanzania. Now Zimbabweans continued praying, and they are crying that their prayers have also been answered in Chad. This guy, some are saying, has been in power for 36 years. He was just 68 years old. He was not old, just 60 years old, and was re-elected for a 6th term after 30 years in rule. This is what the evidence show. In tandem, the Libyan-based militants attacked a border post and advanced hundreds of kilometers south across the desert, and they got him. This alliance, atidi kuverenga mbeva nemiswe. Thank you 𝗟𝗲𝗶𝗁𝗶𝗶𝗶 his keys to the success of the nation. So the Chadian army announced dissolving the parliament and the government, as well as forming a military council headed by his son Muhammad. Muhammad is now in charge to lead the country for 18 months, promising to hold democratic elections after the transitional period. It also declared shutting the urban borders. So this is what happened today in Chad. And Muhammad, the son to Chad the president, has taken over after his father has been assassinated. We look at another assassination that occurred in DRC. You remember when DRC Congo, as you are laughing of Chad, what about our own country, which was under dictatorship for 30 years? For 30 years, we were a bit silly to allow someone to destroy your life for 30 years. For 41 years, we were a bit silly. And the Zimbabweans, this is why I'm saying the people of Zimbabwe should look in a mirror and say, is this the image that I want to be? The suffering that I want to be? If you look on the mirror, you see yourself that you are a sufferer. We are suffering. Is this the image that you guys want? Look on a mirror. But that in a mirror anyway, there's a face I always see. Every time I look, is there looking back again at me. And Teresa mirror. In a mirror anyway, there is a face I always see. Every time I look, is there looking back again at me. And that person you see in a mirror does not go away, but that person will deteriorate, will age. So if you used to look in a mirror 20 years down the line, 20 years ago, 20 years down the line, look again, you have changed a lot. But I shepherd gullies, a flowing water. If tears are flowing, they form these gullies. You understand? So we cry, the gullies form, water, rainfall comes, form all these gullies. This is not what I was 20 years ago. And so what we see now is the Chad people. They decided to free themselves. What did they do? What did they do? They assassinated a dictator. They assassinated a dictator. We know that getting in power through assassinations, it's not the way forward. You will be creating more problems for you, for yourself, because you won't walk or drive in the country Shakanaka. And that Kampore who killed Thomas Sankara is now to be tried. You understand? Eta Zirisemus, our good evening Mkoma, Calvin Chitiga Zirudin. So what I'm saying is, this issue of as Congo Joseph Kabila was fake. He's the one who killed Desire Laurent Kabila. His real name is 𝗟𝗲𝗶𝗶𝗶𝗶. So thank you so much, Chichi, for informing us. They are saying Hansi Laurent Kabila was killed by Joseph Kabila. And this Joseph Kabila, that's not his name. He's saying his name is Hippolyte 𝗟𝗲𝗶𝗶𝗶. So it's another information that's cropping up. So in Chad, a similar situation has occurred, and his son took over as president. Kabila Joseph was 29 years old when he came to power as a leader of Democratic Republic of Congo, which is one of the biggest nations in Africa. Could be the largest. I'm not sure here, but DRC could be the largest country in Africa. And its president, it was once under a 29-year-old man, we cannot call him a boy, a 29-year-old man became president of DRC after his father was killed. So there are quite a lot of things that you guys must understand. I'm trying to open something here so that I can show you. I'm trying to open something here so that I can show you guys something. Right, let's go to America. You know, the most powerful country in the world, it's a federal America. That is the most powerful nation in the world. That nation, it was ruled by Theodore Roosevelt. If you guys know Theodore Roosevelt, Anzi Mugabe was intelligent. He first put fear first, then after it was part after part. Yes, that's the same with this Chad guy. Debbie used to use fear and he killed a lot of people. But now the people who went away, who went outside the country, reorganized and made sure that Debbie must answer to all the atrocities which were done in Chad. And remember, the way that they did it is just to make sure he does not stand before any court of law. He is now standing before God, and God will try him for all the atrocities in Chad. Chad was a hot spot in Africa, and this guy had won a re-election of a sixth term, and that is not a re-election. That is coupled with violence, a lot of violence in Chad, a lot of killings in Chad, abductions, similar to what we are witnessing in Zimbabwe, or similar to what we witnessed during Mugabe era. You couldn't be proud of your Zimbabwe, looking at how people of Zimbabwe were being treated. It was a shame. It was a shock how Zimbabweans were treated under Robert Mugabe. So this is similar to Chadians. They were treated overwhelmingly bad by this government. So what are the end results of dictatorship? When people speak, please listen very carefully, because those people, there is nothing, guys, there is totally nothing that was done by the war veterans that Zimbabweans can fail to do. To go outside the country, you train yourselves, you go back, you fight. It's not very special. It's not something that people cannot do. People can do, but Zimbabweans are simply hospitality. We don't want another war. We don't want to fight. But the problem is ZANU-PF is underrating the new generation. These people, they never saw a firearm. And they are eager to take up arms against ZANU-PF government. Believe me what I'm saying, that the people of Zimbabwe are sick and tired of ZANU-PF brutality. And one day is one day. Look at what Chad, 30 years of oppression. The people of Chad suffered more than the people of Zimbabwe. The people of Chad suffered all these abductions. They suffered the military purging. As a result, look what happened to Chad today. And the president has been killed, has been assassinated, has been shot. It happened in DRC, where the president has been killed, has been assassinated, and was shot. It happened in Libya, where Gaddafi was shot on camera with his own pistol, golden pistol. So this dictatorship will never end peacefully. The people of your country will determine how you're gonna end, and the Chadians have determined how this guy ends. As DRC largest shepherd Algeria is. All right, not Sudan. Thank you so much. So DRC is second largest country in Africa, and Algeria is the largest country in Africa, followed by DRC, then Sudan. So DRC is second largest country in Africa, which was ruled by a 29-year-old man. Surprisingly, in Zimbabwe, you say a 43-year-old is a boy. DRC was ruled by a 29-year-old man. If you go to America, the most powerful nation in the world, it was under a 42-year-old Theodore Roosevelt. He was very young when he assumed presidency of America, which is probably 10 times bigger than Zimbabwe. The whole of Zimbabwe is just a seat in America. It's just a seat. All the 16 million people in Zimbabwe, they fit in one street in America. But it was under Theodore Roosevelt, who was 42 years old. Then later on, the other youngest president was John F. Kennedy, who was 43 years old. Zimbabweans are big-mouthed spies. People tried to kill Mugabe a long time ago, but divide and rule and intelligence determines. Would you remember Mugabe, I think soon after independence, Zimbabwe grounds, when Mugabe came in an ambulance. I think, guys, you still remember that. That is Mugabe imaged from an ambulance, anakuya ne motorcade, and the people wanted to assassinate Robert Mugabe when they attacked the motorcade. Unfortunately, Mugabe was not in the motorcade; he was in an ambulance. Then he just imaged on stage. Mugabe anonyangarika. You still remember that issue, guys? Wangawakura Makoracha, I think you remember. Zimbabwe grounds. Zimbabwe grounds, when Mugabe came to address the nation, he was in an ambulance, and the people thought Mugabe was in the motorcade. He was not in the motorcade. He came in an ambulance. Then from the backstage, Mugabe climbed the stage. People were shocked. People were surprised. Mugabe anonyangarika. Ishona, Mugabe ishona. Man, comrade, that tatenda. Zurudini mwana mainino, a seat, but probably a count. Yeah, could be a count or a seat. Because if you look at how many people are in London alone, I think London has got more than people, more than Zimbabwe population. So in America, probably you find them in a county or in just a small seat. But America is probably the strongest country in the world. America. At one time, it was under a 42-year-old Theodore Roosevelt. Then at another time, it was under a 43-year-old John F. Kennedy. Then it was under Bill Clinton, who took over at the age of 46. When Bill Clinton became American president, he was younger than me. He was 46 years old. Then there was this other Grant, who was 46 years old. Then Obama became president of America at 47 years old. It goes on. Then there was Pierce, who became president of America at 48 years old. Then there was Polk, who became president of America at 49 years old. Then there was Fillmore, who became president of America at 50. Right. This one is like myself. I'm turning 50 this year. Then that's the age. Millard Fillmore became president of America. So you find out that it continued to rise. Some people became president of America at 51. There is Franklin Roosevelt, who became president of America at 51. Abraham Lincoln became president of America at 52. They were young, very young people. If you look at George Washington Bush, he became president of America at 54 years old. These are the people that ZANU-PF are saying they are children. They are boys. You understand? These are people ZANU-PF are calling boys. Someone became a president at 42, Theodore Roosevelt. And the ZANU-PF think he is a boy. France is under a 37-year-old man. And the ZANU-PF think that person is a boy. And so this is what we are saying, ladies and gentlemen, that the ZANU-PF sometimes so look at this guy who was assassinated today. He was 68 years old. And this is his 6th term when he has been assassinated. He had 5 terms. 5 times 5, 25. Then the 6th term, 5 years. So he ruled this country for 30 years, 30 solid years. This was his term, which came 36 years, Achitonga, and the Chadians have decided that operation must end. And how it ends, it's a sad ending. A very sad ending, which we don't expect in our country to have such a sad ending. And it was a very sad ending that ended 𝗣ci𝗲𝗶𝗁𝗀 rule. He died. Some people said he died during a fight. Is it okay? Because I'm live.
I know, but he wants to come in because he's crying.
Let him come in, that no, making that noise. Open for him. Go, you happy. Chitimbe Zuri say. So, I'm live on Facebook. Can you go away? Are you okay?
Yes.
What do you want? Don't cry.
Okay.
Are you angry?
Yes.
Sure. Yeah, Clint is looking for something for you to eat.
Take this to the kitchen. I'm coming.
There is nothing said
Alive.
about it. I mean, the ending is said. Some people would say there is nothing said, but being shot whilst you are a dictator, you are killing people, you are beating people, and all of a sudden people decide to end your life. It's a sad ending. That's the only sad ending that can happen to anyone in the world. We don't want, and Chad, stories like Chad inspired us, light at the end of the tunnel. We can achieve this. A lot of Zimbabweans were saying we were praying and our answers were answered we got our answers in Chad. And some were talking about the death of Magufuli. Brother Yuda, how are you? I missed a lot today. Not much. I'm just starting. So I haven't delved into the topic yet, but I was talking about what happened in Chad today, where its president, who has ruled that country for 30 years, was eventually assassinated. And some say he died in action. He died whilst repelling rebels. And some say he was assassinated. So the truth hasn't come out, but his son, similar to Kabila, his son has taken over the leadership of a country. He's going to run that country for 18 months before an election starts. So you never know. Within those 18 months, the son could be assassinated as well. You see, then vanofira mafufu segonzo, not nyika varufunga nyika ndeyavo, nyika haisi yavo, nyika yevanhu. Let the people decide. Don't force people. Sekurubule zvirise as hello feed the baby first when I don't know, the guy is so hungry today. He's so hungry, Sekuru. So I'm talking about power today. I'm talking about politics today, and I'm talking about leadership. This is what we are going to talk. So I want Zimbabweans to really understand first what is power before we look into all those presidents. I was telling you that Roosevelt became president of the strongest country in the world, America, at the age of 42. Whilst in Zimbabwe, these Nini Campops are explaining to the people of Zimbabwe that a 42-year-old man is a baby. This toddler, this child talk. in Zimbabwe, it makes us become useless as a people. You understand? Zimbabweans, we become useless when we talk about a 43-year-old man as a baby. You understand? As a baby, you can't say 𝗣cie𝗹𝗶𝗁𝗀 is a baby. You understand? So this is what we are talking about. We are going to talk about power today. What is power? Very few. Tafadzo Kingston, how are you, my brother? Very few people would understand power. Power is a measure of a person's ability to control the environment. Power is a measure of a person's ability to control the environment around them. If you are capable, if you have got an ability to control people around you or your environment, you have got power, including the behavior of other people. So this is where I want Zimbabweans to understand that what is power? Power is just an ability to control the environment around you. That environment, if you are controlling it, you are even controlling the behavior of other people. That is what we call power. If you are capable, or if you have the ability to control the environment around you, that means you have got power. And that includes controlling the behavior of other people. That means you have got power. The term authority is often used for power. Some people interchange authority and power. But authority comes now when we perceive authority, it is a legitimate, it's something like legitimizing you to have authority over a social structure. So when we answer Mkoma Yuda, vakarwa yechiWorld today, nekabhari takata kusendekera. Hanziko zvauri mukamaflaji tipe puti mudhara tiri pahasha kupura iwe tikuda chiwenga first. Sekurusole imbomirai kudaro. Imbomirai kudaro. Give them time to reform and repent before they eat bullets, because I know maZimbabweans want to say fun like this, but azvipere mushe. Ndokutanga kwavakaita vachitaura naSmith kuti komana tipei pfutirwane naSmith yanyanya, andoona hazvizoperi mushe, but atikuda kuti zvipere kudaro. Tinoda kuti vanhu ava madhara vazoona you guys developing Zimbabwe. You understand? So the term authority is often used for power, perceived as legitimate by the social structure. The people of Zimbabwe, yes, they say you have got authority when you have got power. So what they are saying is, if you can control your environment, you have got what we call power. If you can control the behavior of other people, we have got what we call power. So power can be seen as evil or unjust. You understand? Some people see power.
What is it?
Chigo, right? Huh? What is that? Fire. Yeah, clean. It's not a fire, it's just it's alarm. It's smoke alarm. And Chris Alex told Anzina Yuda, give them time to reform. Babate Papo, chef. We don't just kill people, guys. We don't. Zimbabwe atina culture ezanu. Yekuuraya vanhu. Kutora futi kuassassinate munhu. It doesn't create peace. I know it's in Greece. It's smoke. Ameno chagadzika pa stove. Aita on stove. Pane something cha melta ipapo. Saka the smoke now ndo iri kukonzera alarm. It's not fire alarm. It's smoke alarm. So it detects smoke. This alarm. Saka, what happens, guys? power can be seen as evil or unjust. All evil and injustice, it's not fire alarm. Anzigidiracha here mkoma. Ameno chaiswa pa moto na cleaned. I don't know to aisachi. Kanada gadzika. Anofana wa boss angari pa fridge pana apa. Kaindi vare fridge yacho. Angari pa fridge pana. Clean angari pa fridge achitora sausage, I think. Saka inenge anogadzikwa nepepa rayo pa stove. Kwakusa on stove. Andibona. Saka ndo yaku ipepa. Ndofunga ratsva someone is smoking there. No. It's just some agadzika chinhu pa stove. Saka chatsva ndochaita smoke. So, ladies and gentlemen, some people see powerful people as evil people. And some we see injustice in powerful in powerful people. And the gules of peace. No, the cleaned. You understand? So the use of power need not involve coercion. Coercion is just force or the threat of force. This is why I want Zimbabweans to understand. If you see a president of a country using force, and UK naga saka dzimba dzine smoke alarms, dzese dzine smoke alarms, anzi, but ivo vanofana kufa sembo sezvavakaita mukoma wangu. I understand mukoma Chris, I really understand where you are coming from. Mukoma Chris, I really understand where you are coming from. I'm not andisukuti ayo musadaro mukoma ayo, but ndikutaura kuti the way we talk, when we talk, iwo nguva dzehondo vanatongogara vaiti we are sending you home when they are killing you, as I can get some for you when they are killing you. So what I'm saying is, if you see what is happening in Zimbabwe today, Mnangagwa, we cannot say he has got power. Chiwenga, we cannot say that he yields power, because the use of power needs not involve coercion. When you see you are coercing people or forcing people by use of threat, then you don't have power. This is why you see the Chadian president has to be assassinated. If you see yourself using force or a threat against a population, then we cannot say you've got power. If you see at President Nelson Chamisa, if you want to see power, let Nelson Chamisa go Pambari. The whole of Mbare will come to a halt. Let Chamisa go Matiem unotenga chingwa. The whole of Harare, mira wo yakatarisa Chamisa. Some they just want to touch him. Some they just want to feel him. This is where we say there's power. The gentleman has got power. And the people of Zimbabwe do not understand it. Power is not the use of force. If you see you send the people who are demonstrating against you, already you have lost power. If you are killing those people, you have lost power. If your soldiers are beating those people, you have lost power. You don't have power. Power comes from the people. Anzi msharukwa. Anzi yekuisa pasi. Ndobika nepramastof in. So, if you see yourself, the president of a country, once you start using power, you start using coercion or force, you have lost power. Because the power makes you, if you've got the ability to use or to control the environment around you, to control the people's behavior without force, that means you have got power. If you see, gauge what I'm saying. Chamisa ngaabude mumba make nhasi aende Pambare kunokwira bhazi. Musika wese weMbare wese, mapurisa, masoja, chima, windi vese vanomira ho vachimhanyira kunoona Chamisa. The ZANU-PF should see that the man has got power. The man can control an environment. Anogona kuti alright vanhu mauya kuzondiona panapa, garai pasi mese ntaure nemi. Vanogara pasi vanhu, they listen to Chamisa, they sit down. No one will come and beat them to sit down. That means the man has got power. No one will come and force them, drive them away. No. You just control them. A good example, when he went to Mtare, Douglas Monzora akabata Mike akada kutaura, and he was booed by people in Mtare. He couldn't speak. Chamisa akabata Mike akati ndikumbirawo Mike. Akabva ataurira vanhu vakanga varipo akavati teererai. Kana muchita boo Secretary General, inini handichatauri. Vanhu vakabva vanyarira kuti sei. That means Chamisa has got power. He can control the environment around him. And has got the ability to control people's behavior. If you see you possess those elements, then you have got power. That is what we call power. If you see yourself using coercion, forcing people to, or threatening people, that means you don't have power. You are just an evil and injustice person. Your commitment to evilness, your commitment to injustice is so great. If you see yourself using threat, using coercion, using force against the people of Zimbabwe, definitely you have lost power. You don't have power. You are living on a borrowed life. What I'm saying, you are living on a borrowed life. You end up being assassinated by the people you think you own. Because you always use force against them. Look today, Chad, they are crying. They've learned the hardest way. That dictator in Chad, who used to use force and power and threat, has lost power, and as a result, today, has been assassinated. And what's up, you, the young man? Keep pressing. Thank you, Mkomaden. The gentleman has been assassinated. And what caused that assassination? It's because of use of coercion. He lost power a long time ago. Unogona kuti uri kutungamirira nyika, iwewe usina power. Uri kutungamirira nyika by force, by ginya. Because you don't have power. You can't control the environment around you. You can't control the people. So you have lost power. You can be in power. You can be in a position of authority, but without power. So we see who has got power. We see who has got power. Kuve pamusoro, uchifamba nemotaked, ne battalion, you don't have power. As or lying to people so that you make them do things, you lack power. Definitely. Once you use coercion, force, and threats, you don't have power. Make yourself know that you don't have power. Don't fool yourself. Because you are threatening them. Because you are using force. Because you are coercing them. Mumwe anofamba asina battalion yemasoja. Anokufamba nekamotikari kake kari 1. Nevanhu vake 2-3 vanofamba navanomuchengetedza. Osvika pambare musika paipai. Kungobuda motikari chete, mbare yese inosviba kuti shei. It shows where power is. So, ngatidzisei vamwe vakuru kuti vakuru hamuna power imi. Vanhu havachadi kutongwa, vakuda kutungamirirwa. Thank you, Sekuru. Thank you, Sekuru Dlamini. Vanhu havachadi kutongwa. Vanhu vakuda kutungamirirwa. So, vanhu vanoziva who has got power and who doesn't have power. Once you use coercion, force and threats, you don't have power. So, this is what we call power. Then, as I mentioned earlier on, that I'm going to talk about power, politics, and leadership. That's today's topic. So I'm looking at the power. Now you all know what is power. MaZimbabweans, ngatidzidzei panapa. Takunzwisa chinonzi power chi. As patriotism, right? May God bless you for us. Thank you, Atete Eva. Thank you so much. So Zimbabweans now know what power is. So let's look at leadership and power. Right? I've shown you what power is. Then let's look at leadership and power. Leaders have power in situations. We have looked at a situation, a very clear situation, where you say, vachamisa, endai pambare motenga madomasi. Kana ndai motenga reza rekugera ndebvu. Haapafambe chamisa pambare paipai. Vanhu vanokatsikirira noda kumuona. Pandofiwa unzo mwavo, vatotsikirira vafa nokuti vada kumuona. Hey man, Chichi, the Zimbabwean government is amazing. It talks a lot about the future, but when asked about the present, it goes to the past. That's the problem with the Zimbabwe government. Today is the future that they promised us. And that future we are drinking sewage. No hospitals, no education, schools are closed, no teachers, no salaries to the civil servants. That's the present. That's the future they talked about in 1980. So I'm looking at leadership and power. Leaders have power in situations. A very good example that I gave you. Give Chamisa $2. Chamisa, go Pambare, just buy a razor blade to shave your beard. Chamisa won't go there. He won't walk Pambare paper. Because why? Everybody wants to touch him. Everybody wants to see him. Everybody wants to talk to him. Everybody wants to be greeted by him. This does not necessarily mean that leaders should or do have power over people. Chamisa does not have power over people. But he knows his power is the people. If you know, you know. Your power is the people. So leaders have power in situations, and your power is the people. Power is simply the right to provide leadership. If you look at what we see today in our country, power is simply the right to provide leadership. If you look at what we see in ZANU-PF, totally there is no leadership. And this has made the late Robert Mugabe a saint. And Mugabe, vanhu vakutaura kuti Ndaraye was a prophet, akati inini handina wokusiyira power muZANU-PF. Boss Yuda, ZTN belongs to who? I am not sure, Katie. I'm not sure. I'll find out for you. Then I'll come back to you. Mngoma lavo, 𝗣cie love momeza. So, Mugabe said, I've got no one to leave power to. I've got no one to leave power to. Now people can clearly see what Mugabe was saying. As leadership involves influence over the other people, power is usually given by the group to the leader. Because if you show us that you have got an influence over us, we agree, then we give you power. And that's my topic, leadership. Leadership is viewed by different facets. There's leadership as leader and followership concept, which advocate. Thank you, Mkomade. So, what happens now? If you have got influence over people, then people, they give you power. Power is given by the people. As I mentioned earlier on, that power is the people. Yuda, we are being robbed our clear constitution to elect the Supreme Court judge. Mamnanga were talking bill to cheat people, help people that evil. So this is why I am talking today about power, power, leadership, and politics, or power, politics, and leadership. So what I'm saying is, the people of Zimbabwe have got power. They are the people who must elect the Chief Justice. But the power is being taken away from the people. Someone is concentrating power where it is not supposed to be. And people, a group of people, are the ones that gives you power. So as I'm speaking today, Mugabe said, I've got no one to live in power. Because all these people in ZANU-PF are incapable of leading. And now today, everybody can tell that this old man was saying the truth. The people in ZANU-PF are incapable of leading. They are good with someone on top. And I was so surprised kugweru pakauya vachamisa paASCOT vanhu 𝗣MDC were not allowed kuti vashandise chikoro. Is that democracy kuruzhinji? Because they lack power. Sekuru Dlamini. ZANU-PF people have no power. Power is the people. If you have got no people, you've got no power. Ndosaka muchiona vachishandisa force. Amuzoshandisa chikoro chino. They use force, they use cohesion. Because they lack power. They don't have power. Power is the people. If you don't have people, you don't have power. So the exercise of power is a complex process and appears to be dependent on context, personality, and expertise. These three things are important. The context side, the personality side, and the expert side. If you lack these things, you can't exercise power. You cannot definitely exercise power. Because you should look at the context. You should look at your personality. You should look at your expertise. This is where you exercise power. If you lack those three elements, that means you lack power. So sources and types of power. What sources of power does the people have, or leadership have, or politicians have? So for you to exercise influence, a leader must have power. If you don't have power, you can't exercise influence. This is why I'm saying, look at President Nelson Chamisa. The way he exercised influence. That man has got power. That man is powerful. That man has got potential to influence anything, even the international community. He has got the ability to even source anything for your country, because he has got you as his people, and he's got power. So Vachamisa is powerful. He's got potential and ability to influence decisions and to control even the resources of a nation. This is why you see the people of Zimbabwe tout Chamisa to be like the AU president. When time comes, you won't be surprised that you can be voted Africa Union president or United States of Africa president. Because the gentleman knows what he does. He has got power, he has got potential, he has got ability to influence any decision in Africa and abroad. He has got power and decision to control resources. Makanzwa ere mimi kadzokera kumashure. Makanzwa vamunanga gawashitaura kuti Mr. Chamisa na vice president wavo vakaenda kuAmerica kunokumbira masanctions. Atakazoita rebut here that it's misrepresentation of facts. Sanctions were requested by Edson Zobo. Kuti munhu wese anoriga election must be put on sanctions. So vamunanga vari kuona here kuti Chamisa has got power. If we take it that way, kuti he influenced Americans to impose sanctions on Zimbabwe. That so vari kuona here where there is power. Because Chamisa, if he doesn't have power, he can't influence Americans to control resources. Saka sometimes Mnangagwa shoot himself on the foot because he said in front of a camera that he doesn't have power, and the power resides in Chamisa. If Chamisa can control Americans to say, hey, batafoni yako but hey ku America kanda Zimbabwe ma sanctions, isai Mnangagwa ma sanctions, isai Shwenga ma sanctions, I choose them Americans. You know how powerful America is as a country. If Chamisa doesn't have power, does he influence Americans to impose sanctions on Zimbabwe? You know what America, you know how powerful America is. A country that can say, Zimbabweans mangwana mfani kudya, munorega kudya. A country that can simuka and say, Iraq mangwana tikunorwa hondo. Vatoswera vamo makutorwa hondo. So people must understand how powerful America as a country is. And if 𝗟𝗲𝗃 can influence Americans to say, impose sanctions on Zimbabwe, that means 𝗟𝗲𝗃 is more powerful than Mnangagwa. Mnangagwa cannot phone today and say, impose sanctions against 𝗟𝗲𝗃. They don't listen to him. So if it's true what Mnangagwa said or admitted on camera, he admitted that he does not have the power. And he is admitting that the power is concentrated on 𝗟𝗲𝗃. You understand? Because he has seen how powerful 𝗟𝗲𝗃 is. He has seen 𝗟𝗲𝗃's potential. He has seen his ability to influence decisions. Well, if 𝗟𝗲𝗃 can influence the Americans, Trump would roll sanctions. That means he's the most powerful person in Africa. And it means Mudara Ngwena shot himself on the foot. He shot himself on the foot by going in front of a camera, being asked silly questions, being driven to expose himself that he lacks power. He doesn't have power to control or influence anything. He's in inability. He doesn't have this potential to influence decisions. So he can't exercise influence. He can't even tell the Americans to remove sanctions because he doesn't have power. So what I'm saying is the source of power comes from the people. Power is the third pillar of leadership. Power on its own is the third pillar of leadership. And the other two pillars are knowledge and trust. So if you look at power, if we talk of sources of leadership, you can't leave knowledge. You can't leave trust. And the power becomes the third. These are three pillars of leadership. If you lack power, no matter if you've got knowledge or trust, if you lack power, you are not a leader. If you lack knowledge, have power and trust, you are not a leader. If you have got trust, lack power and knowledge, you are not a leader. You must see three things in yourself. If you see Mnangagwa exposing himself that he doesn't have power, then if we look into knowledge, does he have a knowledge to run a country? With what you have seen so far in the past 3 years, 4 years he has been president, what have you noticed? Can we safely conclude that the gentleman has got knowledge? Can we safely conclude that he has got trust? So you will see that out of those three pillars of leadership, he lacks power. This is why ZANU-PF used cohesion. This is why ZANU-PF used force. Because these people lack power. I think I'm being clear here. Don't vote. They lack power. Automatically, their knowledge is questionable. Their trust is questionable. Which are three pillars of leadership. You understand? So if you look at effective leaders, they use power appropriately. And they know when and how to be directive and when to delegate. And Murugunzo. Ukaona uri president wenyika uchipa a directive, you could go and shoot and kill them. Later on you appear on state television and said, yes, I sent soldiers to go and kill those people because they were demonstrating. Then you don't know when to be directive. You are not an effective leader. You don't know when to delegate. you are not an effective leader. You see someone under to leave. Unoenda kulive for unofanira kutora leave for 6 months. But unoona munhu achidzoka kulive within 2 weeks. Because he can't delegate. Automatically, you are not an effective leader. Taiona Mugabe ayenda. Aita kati wakaenda kulive Mugabe. Ayenda kana 3 months, 6 months, dzese Mugabe asipo. You understand? Delegation is very important if you want to be an effective leader. Admitted crimes against humanity on TV. It's so sad. This is why I'm saying you cannot, as a president, you cannot say, yes, it's me who deployed soldiers to go and kill. Automatically, your directive was illegitimate, was illegal, and the people of a country were killed. That is crimes against humanity. Ladies and gentlemen, when and how to be consultative, providing guidance instead of being directive. If you are an effective leader, you know when to be consultative. Zvimwe zvatinonzwa zvichitaurwa nevakuru veZimbabwe, unorohwa nehana kuti ndo president venyika era. Zvinhu zvavanenge vachitaura kuti did this man consult some sectors to come and say this? Then you definitely see that this effectiveness as a leader does not reside in him. This power is lacking, so the person cannot be appropriately effective. He lacks this consultativeness. Put your facts and points across wangu. Don't insult. So what I'm saying here is sources of power. Where do you get your sources of power? As a leader, you must know 3 things. You have to have power, have knowledge and trust. What we see in Zimbabwe today, in the people we say leaders, definitely they assume that they've got power, which they don't have. When you use violence and coercion, you've got no power at all. That means you lack knowledge of how to run a country. And you can't be trusted with a country. Because you don't know when to be directive. You don't know. People are demonstrating. Can you send national army? When people are demonstrating, can you send the national army? When the people are demonstrating, why can't you delegate your powers to certain people? Look into these guys, look into that, and people. A leader delegates. If you want to be an effective leader, delegate. Learn how to delegate. Learn when to give directive. Honestly, as 10 plus 14, 40, 140 mombe. You wonder where he was he consultative? Did he ask someone? Could 10 plus 14 40 and the so already these are flawed things that we see in people who lack power, in the people who doesn't have a leadership. So power, they assume, if they look at themselves, the positions that they hold in ZANU-PF, most of those positions, those guys were never elected. They just appointed themselves. So they think they've got this organizational power. They can't differentiate. Last time I spoke about differentiating between state and a political party. They look at their positions in ZANU and they think they are the same position that they should have in the government. These are 2 different positions. If you hold a position in ZANU, that does not necessarily mean you have got power in government. So, if you look at a person himself, President Chamisa, a person himself has got power stemming from his character. President Chamisa's character, it oozes power. When he walks there, everybody follows him. He's got personal power. He doesn't have this power that stems from ownership. He always tell you, I don't own the MDC. I don't own Zimbabwe. It's not my part. It's not my Zimbabwe. But it's our part. It's our Zimbabwe. That ownership using our is this is what makes Chamisa an excellent leader. Simba rake haripo pakugovera zvinhu zvisingafane kugovewa. As Zimbabwe leaders don't have democratic power and the brainwashed all leaders. So Simba, ukatasa Simba revanhu veZANU-PF, ndamboteerera that little boy you call Mugwadi when he was being interviewed by Blessing. I just listened for a while. Then I said, no, I can't listen to bullshit. I can't listen to bullshit. Because the boy does not know what he says. He was talking about kugoverwa mbeu. 40 years down the line, vachiri kushandisa this power of providing resources. 40 years down the line, when they were supposed to have empowered the people of Zimbabwe. By now, Zimbabwe vari contribute to the state, not to the state every year, every day. People have now grown a dependence syndrome in Zimbabwe, where they depend on a government instead of the government to depend on them. The people of Zimbabwe now depends on a government. They want to be provided resources. Kutenga ufu. That's what Blessing mpana yakutara achimubvunza. Zvikanzi munhu angati 8 hours akakiwa atenge ufu. Honestly, 8 hours wakakiwa kunotenga ufu. Nyika yakamira. Ndoba ndaona kuti no, this boy does not know what he says. It's just a little boy. It's just a boy. After some guarding, no, it's just a boy. You can't listen to bullshit. That's bullshit. And anymore. Because this is not the time of providing resources time and again, every year, time and again. Vachipedza kurima, hanzi tikuigirai food aid kuvanhu varima. You understand? You can't derive power from that. Ukaona uchiita izvozvo, you are not powerful. Empower the people to produce, not to empower people kuvura homo kuti mudire every time and then. That is what we call a failed agrarian reform program. Zimbabwe government, under clueless leaders for the past 41 years, have failed the nation. Now we have got a dependent syndrome where everybody depends with paropera gore ndotopuwa mbeu negovernment ndopuwa fertilizer. Ndosaka mungona ndakataura last time ndaiseka zvangu. Tizoona eZimbabwe vaiti varimi vakaendesa mbeu, vakaendesa chii havana kubhadharo. Ndikati how can the government pay them? Iriyo iri kuvapa mbeu, yovapa fertilizer yevarimira, chavaita hapana. Saka what they all ripika ngazviende kuhurumende kunodzosera mari yehurumende. Vanhu vakachema, takubhadharawo mari dzedu. Because of that dependent syndrome. We have got a problem in Zimbabwe. Patopedza takohwa tarima tasamatura. Takutotarisira USAID. Chimwe chibaga chichabva kuAmerica chachasvika chipuhwa mahara. Kune rice richabva kunonzi kuChina rachasvika chipuhwa mahara. Jim Sams, how are you? How are you, Jim? Hanzi unogoverwa mbeu woudzwa kwekutengesera nevalue yeproduct yacho. If these people were empowered, they could choose. Kwekunotengesera kwaunoziva kuti uku ndokune vanhu vanotengera neprice yakanaka. But because they are not empowered, those people still suffer. Power must not be derived from providing always, every day. Unenge wakuita inonzi extortion. Wakuita extortion. Kuti unchandivhotera undivotere undivhotera puhambeu undivhotere undivhotere next year undivhotere undivhotere, creating a dependence syndrome on 14 million people, 16 million people. Now the government cannot continue to provide. What are the consequences of failure to provide? Hospitals have got no medication. Teachers can't get salaries. Civil servants are not being paid. Or when they get paid, they are not getting paid enough because there is no money. Mari yese murutenga fertilizer ku Zambia. Mutenga fertilizer ku South Africa. Ndakazwa kutemba musi wachitaura hanzi fertilizer yakanonoka kubva ku South Africa. Ndika stupid, man. Very silly. You are talking of fertilizer coming from South Africa. Tainana Zimforce mu Zimbabwe. Taigadzira fertilizer yedu tega AND what in Zimbabwe. She exporta kuendesa kunana Zambia. Now you are talking of us importing fertilizer in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe ipi yoyo? As ZANU uses poverty to control people so they can hold to power. Yes, this is why I'm saying they lack power. Because once you try to bribe people, you are lacking power. Elliot Rus, how are you? Shapiru, Ndagasimba. People without power always angry. And so what we are saying is, we have got failures who masquerade as a government, who have failed for 41 years, who relies or buys an electorate by supplying them my inputs. Vachitokupai ndivotere hakuna kwatiri kuenda. So the people of Zimbabwe will never get rich. You won't. Because ukarima ukaendesa kuJMB vakakunyima mari yacho vanenge vaita takakupa mbeu. Saka you become a state laborer, earning nothing, like a soldier in Zimbabwe who earns nothing. Mari yekuti akaihora nhasi mangwana asina mari uda kuenda kubasa, uda kuwacha ichoda kuchonetsa kuwacha kachidenimi, chonetsa kuwacha chidenimi order chinorwadza choda sipo. Anditi mona. Saka what we are saying, a government that can never manage critical problems that Zimbabweans face lacks power, lacks leadership. And quite a lot of things that Zimbabwe government have exhibited that shows us that these people are not the right people in position. They think of positional powers, which is most obvious, important to them. They don't think about the country. When they talk about legitimate power to them, it's cohesion. Mamisa chete. Chati votera uchida usingade. Mugaba wacho kana kafa uchamuvhotera. Grace Mugabe was talking to Zimbabweans. I was shocked. Ranzikana Mugabe ari pa-wheelchair, you're going to vote for him. Even akafa, you vote for a dead board. That means Zimbabwe will be run by a dead Mugabe. Ayusta sari kubi. Aiwepo achizvinzwa zvitaurwa. Kana chizi hadzi Yuda unonyepa. Pazvaitaurwa izvi mamusipo here maZimbabweans. Muchiudzwa naGrace Mugabe kuti you are going to vote for a dead Mugabe. Even on wheelchair, you are going to vote for him. Achakutongai kutongwa a goblin, a dead man. Honestly, kuitwa zvituna tese nyika yese. Kunzi muchatongwa nechituna, muchatongwa naMugabe akafa. Muchatongwa naMugabe ari pa-wheelchair. President muchimuwila nenyaya yekuti he's incapacitated with age. At his age, Mugabe was almost demented. And the people were told that you are going to vote him whether you want or not. Zimbabweans, honestly, we call ourselves the most educated country in Africa. So when we talk about legitimate power, we refer to power of an individual because of the relative position within an organization. So if we say legitimate power, when we talk about Mugabe's position, when we talk about ED's position now, when we talk about Chamsa's position, that's where we should deduce our legitimacy from there. The position you hold as a president, you must have power. Don't coerce, don't force people. Have power. If you lack power, you lack leadership. If you lack leadership, you lack knowledge, you lack trust, you lack power. At the end, you lead a country into drinking sewage, load shedding, dilapidation of infrastructure, abductions and killings. The end result is you get assassinated. The end result of dictatorship in most countries that I know, you end up with a bullet through your empty skull because you don't reason. You lack power. You can't influence people. People should be influenced, say, ndivoterei. Hanzi vakato tipima, vakaona weakness yedu, tikawira mgomba, totogadza mapoto, mgomba imomo kubika. You understand? That was a weakness that Zimbabweans have. Hanzi mkoma yuda bwanji David bwino bwanji achimwene. Hanzi Blazikan, he is still ruling one from the grave. And it more. Hanzi has got authority from the grave. So tell him, Bob, that the people you delegated, you gave powers to say, look, you stand on my position as president. They've nailed a final coffin on Zimbabwe's. They've nailed a final nail on Zimbabwe's coffin. The country is dead. The country is dead. And they are too good in correcting when someone speaks broken English. What a shame. This is what they know. Zimbabweans. The current crop does not yield power enough to produce an effective government. They've got nothing to show that they are. They've got a desired leadership that the people of Zimbabwe are crying for. We are crying for this desired leadership that is in Chamisa. Everybody is crying. ZANU-PF is stronghold. Kuzumba maramba pfungwe. Imboti Chamisa enda kuzumba maramba pfungwe. Monoona mashura. And then no mashura. Kuzumba maramba pfungwe. For ZANU-PF has got majority. Near rigging. Go and see mashura. And then Chamisa koko monoona. And it more. So this coercive power we have witnessed in ZANU-PF. They call, when they come, they say, Anshamine Munyu. That's punishment to non-compliance. When people say they don't want ZANU-PF, Munonzikomba itrove, Neshamine Munyu. It was a shame for ED to be dragged into that interview by that woman. It was really a shame. It really exposed him. He uses punishment. He uses shamboko, shamwine munyu, to non-compliance. And he is basing his leadership on fear. Then you have got no power. Because you lack power. You've got this coercive power only, whether you think you are God. As a result, you lose. The end result is a bullet through your empty skull. It has happened in Chad. It happened in DRC. Where if you want to utilize cohesive or cohesiveness as a source of power, the end result is they use force against you as well. So this is what we are saying. We need an information power. Have an information, have knowledge, have trust. If you have knowledge, trust, and power, then you have got what we call information or informative power. That stems from formal control of the environment where you live. The influence the people have, or your influence to the people. People, if you talk to them nicely, Zimbabweans, they can work for you. And then ndosakachona vai vanonzi masalesmen kana takatarisa maspokesperson vemapolitical parties vafani masalesmen. You should go and sell your political party so that people decide. Unfortunately, tine vanhu vasingazivi izvozvo. Vana vakachema kuti tiri kudawo muto iye anoti dyai mavheji iye achirova mazondo mundege. Asi network yangu mukoma ichipadhudha maswera sei, fungai zviri sei mwana wamai. Kuti mudhara akurova mazondo, zondo harisi vheji kamundege. Wapedza hapo wabudisa unoza vanhu vanonyora ma-statements emudhara uyo. They should make them click together. Ngazviflowe. Kuti zvaakataura gore rakati hazvifana kuchinja nhasi. Kuti uri mundege uri kudya makumbo emombe. Kuno waiti ukatenga makumbo emombe kuno kuBritain vanhu vaishamisika. Bozi vaitaura kuti this is a bone etopaimbwa. Kuno kuUK mazondo aya anopaimbwa. Kapinda mashops muchiyumu chinenge chakatoshepwa ngezondo ndezvembwa, chikafu chembwa. Iwe uri kuchirova chikafu chembwa uri mundege. Hanzi zondo rosimisa musana. Waburuka ndege 2 days wakanga ndonga uchirova mazondo wakutaura kuti dyai muriwo. Dyai muriwo. Anditi mona. So it's something that my analysts, when we grab that type of video, compare. So bad. Samina munyu, mochari notonorera. 2008 we lost elections but remained in power. 𝗣cie𝗶𝗶𝗶𝗶 and his vice president lob sanctions. Thanks, Max. Thanks so much. That's a summary that has been given by Mkoma Max of what I'm talking about. Zimbabweans can't afford meat. Your board, people do not know this, that your board is a machinery. Saka wachiona kwavhura engine yemotikari mune tumwe tunhu kaunofunga kuti hatuna basa but kabvise motikari haifambe. Mabata here pandataura ipapo. Vhura bonnet remotikari rero worivhura kudai. Wotarisa engine ine tunhu twakanamirwa twakawanda twekuti hautonzwisisi iwewe. Ingobvisa 1 kacho ikako kana ipapo inobva yanyarara mota haifambe. That means that thing is important. Human body is a machinery. That ukadya muriwo iwewe gore resu dya muriwo. Unogona kushaya mamwe nutrients anoita kuti usimbe. Imbotarisai ma-vegetarian. Makambona ma-vegetarian vanoti kana vaakudla vanombodya tunenge tumasausage so tunenge twakafuraiwa nemafuta. Mafuta mazhinji anofuraiwa wacho pamwe anenge akabva kunyama kumombe kana kubva kune dzimwe mhuka. Asi anenge achikudza kuti handidye nyama, ndiri vegetarian. Ukamutarisa ane tumwe tunhu atodya totuwe tuma ingredients twenyama kuita kuti awane tumwe tuma small nutrients tunopinda muropa mako so your body can function. And those who tell not to rebel against a corrupt and oppressive system are usually paid by the oppressors. Yes, ndo vanopiwa. Anditi maona, ndo vanodya. Ndakabotaura paramo ndikati problem iri kuZimbabwe is nepotism. All those vamunoona vachiva vachituka panapa, scrutinize them. You find kuti muzukuru waNhingi, ndesekuru waNhingi, munin'ina waNhingi, who is connected to this government. Vari kuti dyai murivo, ivo vachirova mazondo. Anyone with a link yedocumentary yaChamisa, I'm not sure. Anditi maona, power is drawn from even small components. So, personal power. 3 sources of power, which stems from characteristics or behaviors of the power actor. Bana Chamisa ma power actors kawaya. If you look at Chamisa, even when he's addressing people, as ndo zvama ichemeraga ana Shapiro, aiwa Eustace, iwo ndo kudya murivo. Ndakakunzwa vachitaura vanhu kuti ini ndakatobhana nyama uri kudya murivo. Iwe ndikakutsura ndikati mupana Eustace, your body is a machinery. Shaya sodium mumiri mako. Uone kuti unoita sei. Shaya calcium chaiyo. Unoita bota iwe. So there are other things that are found in meat or in vegetables that you must eat. Nosaka uchiuza mchinzi mimi idyai zvakati, idyai ukaenda kwana chiremba anzi idya balanced diet. Zvine zvazvoreva izvozvo. Vanhu vanotadza kuziva kuti chonzi balanced diet chii. Unoona mumwe munhu achinzi idya murivo, anenge achirova zibhodho rakadai remapotatoes ari 1 every day. Pane zvauri kuleka, idya balanced diet. Usangodya murivo. You understand? So personal power derived from the character of a person or the actor of the power actor. Look, I always give example. Ya President Nelson Chamisa. Not kuti andomuda stere ayo, but he's a good example. If you look in him, you can tell that this gentleman has got ka expert power kaanako. If you look at him, aneka prestige power kaanako. And then this referent power yaanayo. That makes him a very good leader. Very, very good leader. And these are classified as personal power because they are derived from the person rather than from the organization. Chamisa has got personal power. Reneka expert power mukati. Reneka referent power mukati. Reneka prestige mukati. They come from your character, not an organization. Ukada kushandisa organization, ukaona power, ukada kushandisa iwe a power actor organization, you end up wakutange munhu weZANU-PF. Ndoba unozonzwa munhu akutaura kuti komba itrove because uneka organizational power, komba itrove. Komba iti tinyisi. Andini mona. That must not be tolerated in our country. If you look at the prestige power that I was talking about, that stems from the status and reputation. Look at Chamisa's status and reputation. Ukanzwa muno president wenyika anoti ini ndakawina. Kwete kuti mimi ndakuvhotera imi mawina. Anozviti ndiye akawina. Kanzwa akuchema pa state television. Kuti uyu anoenda unondikumbira ma-sanctions, ndobva ndatopuwa ma-sanctions. So there is lack of power in you. And there is power in uyo. Because his status makes the world listen to him. His reputation makes the world listen to him. He talks of importance of developing Zimbabwe. And that makes him have this prestige power in him. Andidi manzwa. So when we are talking of personal power that I've noted Munachamisa. Anzina Austin, I like your Beretta Mdara. Can you get me one? I bought it in London. If I go to London, I can still buy you. Don't worry. Anzi munoita nezvei baba ndikuzive 𝗟𝗲𝗶𝗶𝗶𝗿 atete 𝗟𝗲𝗶𝗶𝗶𝗿 hanzi vada kundiziva ndoita nezvei. I'm a socialite. I'm a political analyst. I'm a political activist. I am a forensic scientist. I'm a teacher. And very soon I'll be a forensic nurse. Akawanda my titles acho. I am also a bookkeeper. A bookkeeper. I am also a risk controller. My titles acho apere. Andakatakura saka ndo zvandinoita zvese izvozvo. Mukauya pano atete kusila tokugachirai. Tokurukura nemi tichikudzidzisai. Kana mune zvamunogona kutidzidzisa atete munonyora todzidza kubva kwamuri. Panapa hapabvumirwe kutuka, but tinokumbira vanoda kudzidza. Hanzi 41 TV, one channel TV. Hanzi pawa yemapurisa edu kutorera mavhenda mabhero emazitywe nekubira ana mbuya matimati. Vanenge vachida kunonobika ipo paya. Because salary yemupurisa aikwani kutenga madomasi maybe 2 days a day or for a month. Salary yake cannot afford. Saka akatopinda murodhi akatoreidha ana mbuya vaya akatotora madomasi nemasau andombowana ka-iron mbichana pa andombowana zvekumbonobika bika kumba. Andiri maona. Saka ndo zvatiri kuti hanzi very soon he will be in a new government led by Chamisa. Yes, mukadzi waningirina. Alright. Mukadzi wangu. Kudhara zvainetsa mukadzi wangu. Vanyaza. Tatwene mukadzi. Mukadzi wangu. Ana atete ekusilia ndatenda angu. Matenda atete todzisana. Hanzi former jere guard. Yesi mpana Mateo. Urisei mningina. Andini maona todzisana. Chatisingade chete chemukuti chako ichocho chemukuti ichi chatichidushinzwa panapa. Panapa taura zvemukuti zvanhu pana totaura politics chidzisana. Saka muri kuona problem inezano. Mukadzoka kumashure uko. Taiva na Solomon Tavengwa vari mayor of Harare. Those guys vaive inonzi executive powers dzavaipiwa. Powers ekuti vaive capacitated to do everything that they want with the capital of Harare. Andiri muri kuona. Because ZANU-PF had this power of ownership, they thought they own Harare. Pavakazotanga kuruza that power rekuona Harare, hazi kunobika bika. Pavakazotanga kuruza that power yekuona Harare, zvinhu zvakatanga kuondomoka. The strength of executive powers avaizvipa ndo akazoita kuti muone kuti Harare yasvika papi nhasi. And if they can return the executive powers and give Jacob Mafume executive powers, Zimbabwe or Harare will be back to a sunshine state. Andimona azina no mara zviri sei mwana wamai. As how are you glaz murugu ichengeta murume wekuita president tsvangira chayo kuda matamex matamex anditi maona. Saka tiri kuda isusu devolution of powers dzamakanzwa dzichitaurwa neMDC. We want devolution. That means we give mayor executive powers to say ndiwe wasarudzwa nevanhu kuti utungamirire Harare. Ita zvekuita kuti Harare ibude mvura yakachena. Ita zvekuti masuweji asaerere muHarare. Ita zvekuti Harare iwane magetsi. Zvinouya executive powers. Nokuti meya anenge akudetermine kuti ngatite budget yakati, tikuwana mari dzakati, hurumende kutipa mari yakati, toita zvakati. kwete zvekuti kana akuda tissue, toilet tissue, budget rekutenga toilet tissue rameya rinoapuruvwa nemunhu asina power, wokuti anongonosvika kutaura kuti aiwa meya wenyu ndiani uzviya 𝗟𝗲𝗶𝗁𝗀𝗶 haakwete. Wotoona mafume akutotenga Herald kana kuti Daily News rekunopindisa mutoilet. What is next? It blocks the sewage system. Wotozoona akuerera manewspaper pamusoro pemvura. Do you honestly believe, guys, kudai muZimbabwe taishandisa matishu hataimboona mablokages atinoona? Because tissue ukariflasha rinobvaruka harizoungani. Newspaper haridaro. Newspaper is not meant for that. Saka newspaper rinongosvika roti ndii ndamira, rimwe roya roti ndii ndamira. How many people are defecating at the same time in Harare and using newspapers to wipe themselves? If you flush them down, they don't go. Anonomira ndo masweji amuri kuona ari kuputika achierera muHarare. Tishu hariite kudaro. Ukazona tishu ro kubloka, something wrong. Hanzi Mudara Yuda, why our land is very expensive? Who determine the price? The people who don't have power determine the price. So it's an extortion to them. They steal your land. They steal your money. Bona Mugabe akatengeserwa 20 hectares of land for $2,300 US. It was parceled to him for nothing. 20 hectares of land. And it's more. So it's very expensive to unprivileged people. You don't have privileges. You are not politically connected. And you are not supposed to own land. What are we taking land borrowed? A stand will go for $80,000 US. Usati watanga kutenga chidhina. 120,000 stand. Usati watanga kutenga chidhina baba. Executive mayors akabviswa pakadonhedzwa zanu mumatowns. Ndo pakadzingwa pakabviswa executive mayors. Ndo vavatora mapowers acho ameya vakapa Mugabe. Mugabe akati Jacob Mafuma akati ndoda toilet paper zvonzi endai kwapresident kuofisi monosainirwa check yoti mutenge newspaper, mutenge toilet paper. Saka vanozopesera vakutsvaga the cheapest way of going to the toilet. Buy a newspaper in town. You take it to the toilet. You flush it. Paper ukariflasha ari bvaruke. Rinongotota chete rongotubi roenda. Parinosvika riende paper ka rosvika roti ndi mira. Kana ramira anomira akawanda. What's next? It's blockage. Sewage yakuerera pese. Because there are people who think they've got power, but they don't have power. If you see those policies, dzekuti toilet paper rotengerwa mayor na president, then that president is a scared crow. He doesn't have power. And Murunzwa nyaya kutaura. We are talking about power. Sekupromisa kwandaita. When people or organizations operate in an unstable and unpredictable environment, they tend to behave politically. So I am talking about politics now. Good. The moment yamunoona vanhu vave in an unstable environment, vakutanga kutaura nezvipo. Dzatove politics akutotaurwa ipapo. Pakutobuda ka political language ipapo. People vakutoleka confidence with the leadership. Vakuona valuelessness of the leadership. Vakuona lack of capability of the leadership. Because of the unstable environment that people operate under. This is where you see kuti munhu haana power. People will start not to trust you if you lack power. But because they fear you, there is nothing positive that can come out of a state where people are run by fear. And the end results is the Chad or DRC issue, where you see President wenyika vachiborewa nebara musoro. Mapowers akatorerwa ma-seat leaders nekuti MDC yakanga yatora matown ose. Ndo chokwadi ichocho. Andimona. So this tendency of usurping powers where you are not elected, they will make you look useless. It's not a political tactic at all. It's never a political strategy. Because whatever you think is a political strategy, whilst the people are drinking sewage, that will backfire. As this shamisi, maagona, waisande vumdenga, warowa nemtovu, wabaiwa ngemtovu. Kuchade vari kuchema izvozvi. Kuna wabaiwa ngemtovu, waisande vumdenga. Andimona. Because what ZANU-PF did is to make all towns ineffective. They are now saying, Chiwenga, go and put Tam town. Adiola. So ZANU-PF must be made aware that the people of Zimbabwe knows that it's ZANU-PF's political game, which is not a strategy at all, which is not a tactic at all, but an issue of losing elections. Where you lose elections, you want to fix the people of that country. And where you're trying to fix them, you're coercing them. You are using force against the people of Zimbabwe. And the people will become resistant. When oppression becomes law, resistance becomes duty. So you cannot wrestle power in that manner, in that way. Definitely no. You can't build relationships by beating people. Definitely no. You can't avoid political blunders. You can't. These are political blunders that we have seen ZANU-PF making. Once they think their political tactics and strategies, which actually tends to be political blunders. The removal of executive mayors, it was a political blunder. It was never a strategy. This positioning of Chiwenga, kuti enda uno nama mapotholes, enda uno nama wananjuzu. Iwayo it's not a political strategy. It's never a tactic. But it shows us that you lack power. You are using coercion. You are using force. Because Chiwenga was never voted by anyone. But we've got a mayor who was voted. We've got my councillors who were voted, who went into an election and won. Chiwenga's life, he doesn't know how to be elected. He has never been elected and will never be elected. And the honor. Saka, we wonder, what interests does Chiwenga serve? Whose interests? Whose interest does Chiwenga serve in Harare? That is not a political tactic. That is never a strategy at all. But we see lack of power. We know that whatever you did, you were trying to wrestle or acquire political power, or trying to think you've got political power and you're trying to maintain it by making the people of Harare suffer. So you've created a difficult assignment for yourself. It's a difficult assignment to ZANU-PF. Mark my words. And they can take power kwakadyiwa kuti MDC sadzikise service delivery kuma towns. You understand? Saka mukada kutarisa zvaitaurwa na President Chamisa, ndakavateerera vachitaura rimwe day. Ndakati murume uyu kauyu akakomborerwa naMwari. You mean the people's general? Iye ndiwandi kutaura kuti akunonama wananjuzu. Ndakataura ndikati munhu anonzi Chamisa akakomborerwa. If you listen to him, ane matechniques aakambotaura, so ndakateerera ndikati munhu uyu kauyu knowledge yaana, information yaanayo yakaoma. Information is power, ladies and gentlemen. And ndakaona kuti Chamisa, he controls vital information. He controls power. He keeps people of Zimbabwe informed when necessary. Haikona zvekuti nhasi muri kuchivi muri kuvhura pombi, kuchivi muri kuvhura pombi. It's unnecessary to go and officially open a tap. We grew up seeing taps everywhere. With clean water everywhere. Ndakati baba ava, my lines of communication anawo murume akaipa. Unoza, kuti uite president, you have got to be a jack of all trade. You have to know everything. Ndakati, regai ndinyarare. Pane zvandakaona. Ndikati Mwari makaita henyu. Ndakasa muchinjikwa mutatu pachipostori kati makaita baba. Kuti pamurume uyu makatiratidza something. Kana akasimuka kutaura, he makes some other people look useless. Ndakazonzwa mazano abvuma kadza. Chipo chiripo apo. Ndakazonzwa basket rati kana akaenda kuzanu uyu munhu akati adada president vanomuvhotera. Handiti maona. Saka politics must involve building this positive image to the people so that the people gives you power. Build positive relations with people. Kwenda kuti jai muri iwo uchika mazondo. Network with Zimbabweans. Zimbabweans, they need leadership. This is why you see they overwhelmingly voted Chamisa. But they saw that the guy has displayed loyalty to the country. Danga ari mwe munhu akaita senini ndatiwe rebel leader. Ndiripo zichitotsva futi. But he displayed loyalty to the country. Kuti all right, my elections eda abiwa. Taenda kukoti. Koti iri kutongwa neshamwari yaMnangagwa. Potompa evidence oziramba ozitambira. Ongo unzu faukram oto confuse kwa kutoti buda Mnangagwa ndiwo wa president. You understand? Chamisa has managed to contain oppression. He has managed to satisfy the people of Zimbabwe. He has managed to be, he's a pleasant character who has managed to keep you positive. Think positive. Talk positively. He's one leader who can ask for advice. Mkoma yud. Zamaona todi. That is the leader that Zimbabwe wants. The leader that Zimbabwe was waiting for. Todi. Andasarira aita sei kodambu. I was told dambu tukutaura president wekuChad. Aiswa mutobvu. Nenyaya yekusada kuziva. Nenyaya yekuda kuzviita kuti ndine power usina power. Kana une power haurawi nevanhu. Influence them, they don't kill you. Andini maona. So a lot of political blunders that we have seen in ZANU-PF, which they think are political strategies and tactics. If you listen, these are political blunders. And thanks to blessing Mpana, I'm exposed. So that he kept on explaining political blunders. Exposing political blunders which were made by ZANU-PF. A particular one is of making Zimbabweans a dependent of a state. Or making them, giving them a dose of dependence syndrome. Thanks, bra, following. Thank you, Kone. So, Zimbabweans, a political blunder that was made by ZANU-PF. And they thought that was a political tactic, which is not a political tactic at all, of making Zimbabweans, of giving Zimbabweans a dose of dependence syndrome. Every time that dose expires in their body, they need another injection of a dependence syndrome, so that they keep on depending. If the state can't give them, then we cry, we are on a food aid. Zimbabwe becomes a country where which survives on food aid because we've got a dependence syndrome. Atikwanise kurima chibage chedu toisa mudura kuti for the next 10 years kana drought tinodya. Chedu isusu kushedzera ma-imperialist countries. Amaona vanhu vezanu vakaiti viva zanu ene ndonzi ningi ndiri mu-UK. Imperial countries, ma-imperialist. So vatadaidzira kuma-imperialist ma-British, uya ine nzaro, uya ine chibage. Ma-Americans uya ine chibage, uya ine rice. Ma-China uya ine chibage, uya ine rice. That dependence syndrome has cropped into us to the extent that we can't survive on our own. We are in a vaccine from China. Honestly, can we make our own vaccine? Good news from America, guys. That guy found guilt of killing George Floyd. The news just came out now. That policeman has been found guilty of killing George Floyd. So let's wait for the sentence. Is it death sentence or life imprisonment? Good news from America, andidi. Ndoba ndakazotaura mapurisa nezuro kati umajaira kushina vanhu vatema. Washina. Tinoshiniswa nevanhu vezano avo. Boss dai nyika yedu yakanaka, ngadai ma-British achiuya zitore tourist chivadriver chivaradza Zimbabwe. Great Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe ruins. Hanzi wakafitwa nekuita Army General Mr. Ida. Thank you, 𝗍𝗲𝗶𝗶𝗶𝗶. Thank you, my brother. The change is coming, definitely. A change will come. Despite all these barriers that we see, people masquerading as government, generals, masquerading as presidents, who are not the presidents at all. The change, they are just a barrier to change. They are scared of change. But eventually, change will crop in, change will come. And in Murugona, while if you listen to Mgwandi, what they called political strategies were actually political blunders. They were never political strategies. They said you can't criticize the boss. I always criticize President Chamisa here. People who have been here for some time, they know that I always criticize President Chamisa here. Not good as the president, you can't criticize the boss in public forum. Our president, we have criticized him a lot. And this man's vachamisa pano, taiva criticize. Vamwana vachitobvunza kuti uri munhu weMDC here ndikati ndiri munhu weMDC. What I'm criticizing here is to make my president better. And guess what? Today we've got the best leader in Africa. You talk of Chamisa today. Ukaenda kuGhana vanokudza Chamisa. Ukaenda kuEgypt vanokutaurira Chamisa. Ukaenda kuLibya, Morocco vanokutaurira Chamisa. Enda kuMozambique vanokutaurira Chamisa. Ndakazonga maputukeza aita dai anga ari mazambians. Dai anga ari muzambian murume uyu. Uyu taimisa panyanga mangwana chaiye. They were saying Zimbabweans do not know what they have in that man. Andofarira chokwadi chenyu mudhara rambai makadaro. Thanks Nkoma Michael. It's true that the Chad president was on forefront fighting the rebels. I don't think it's true. That was an assassination. I didn't know. So if you see the amount of criticism that our president received since he came to be president of MDC, made him a better leader. That even the Zambians said, we wish he was Zimbabwe. He was Zambian. The people of Botswana, last time they said that. We wish Chamisa was a Tswana. You understand? And the people of Zimbabwe, hey, you understand? The man has shown beyond a reasonable doubt that he is a listening president who can take advice, and that shaped him to where he is today. No one in Zimbabwe can match that man. I am telling you. Ukaona vatadza kumumecha anonga kuti mwana mudiki atete flow. Thank you so much, you are here. Hanzi mwana mudiki ndikati ora chimbonyararai. America, the most powerful nation in the world. At one time, it was ruled by a 42-year-old man, Theodore Roosevelt. At one time, a 43-year-old man, John F. Kennedy, became American president, the most powerful nation in the world. Barack Obama at 47 years, Barack became president of the most powerful nation in the world. Then it was a 𝗣cie𝗲𝗶𝗿, where sewage flows every day. No electricity in that country. There are no hopes of living. People, we have got no hopes of living. Unorara wachingoti mangwana ameno ndodye kusukira mangwana pandosvika kogore paropera nendine. You are hopeless, no future at all. Then when we see a president, an energetic president at 42, hanzi mwana amdiki. Kwanai mazano. Bati mkwane mbichana naye. Mndikwanire mazano. George Floyd updated Chauvin guilt on all 3 charges. Saka let's hope for a death sentence. In America, waneka injection. And when do you think the change is coming, Mdara Yuda? Because we are craving for the change and we can't wait much longer. We can bring change today, Mkoma Gilbert. As long as all Zimbabweans listen to what I'm telling them here. Hey, mwana wangu. Ashi? Shibi? Wondo. Ugotuka wakaipa. Wondo. Baba wanda wondo wao. Bakwenisa 𝗣𝗲. Ndire mwana binya. Ibinya irori. Ukazwari. Zvatinenge tichikuita pese paririso. Pada binya kachwana kupi. Ini baba wake ndakakura ndisiri binya kai. Anditi maona. Mkoma Gilbert. Change can come today, my brother. If you listen to what I teach Zimbabweans, you can see change coming. And the change is within you. You have got the power. Vanhu vamuri kutya muchiti vane power, havana power. Vane force, cohesion and fear. Chete havana power vanhu vaiva. The power resides in us, you and me. If you and me come together and say we need change, it will come. Because we are the people. We are the power. Zimbabwe vanhu vari pama1 mukoma Yuda. Unotenga data re 2 weeks, but aripedze a day. Kubirwa, vari kubirwa. Andi murikona. Eustace Kanyemba Zimbabwe is a real baboon. Musadaro Eustace Ngoma God. As we heard that 91 MPs supported ED on that amendment which supported him to appoint the 7 ministers. Yeah, because Douglas Monzora, what they did is, they used Douglas Monzora to recall members of parliament. But my drafts Zamurkona Zakupinda manje. Zakungopinda without even debate. Because Monzora had managed to do the donkey work for ZANU-PF. Mukazati chiti Monzora muzanu, batai mazwi. Batai kutaura kwatruita. Mukazati chiti Monzora muzanu, batai mazwi. Anything that is oppressive in Zimbabwe will sail through the parliament. Because apasina vanhu vanomira vaita kuti izvazviti. Pakatorwa my friends and relatives avo vakaloda muparliament. Saka at the moment we are in a dire need of change in our country. Monzora has become a barrier. Mnangagwa has become a barrier. Chiwenga has become a barrier. So we have got barriers to our change in our country. As Mkomada Murise, Taura Yenyu, Monzora Imboko, zvochokwadi mukaona zvimutemo zvastar cell zviri kupinzwa mabills zvavakuloda manje. They made sure that MDC is disabled. And after disabling it, now they are pushing everything that is oppressive through. Amendment of constitution that should be done by a referendum. Mana monzora kuti no referendum zvatoita mudhara ngwena Sinai apo. ZANU-PF is paying our teachers $200 per month under President Advocate Nelson Chamisa. We will pay our teachers $3,000. Thank you so much, Mkoma Tafazo. Havasi kupuwa 200 foot, it's $60 a month. But salary yavo vakaitora can't buy $60 US. So pathetic. Andini mona. Saka pakaoma, we've got a dysfunctional political tactics and strategies that we saw being articulated by Mpara Anonzi Mugwadi. I didn't want to talk about him because he is a nonanity, a nothing. A nothing in our country. Mkoma NS Uraya is really saying monoma. And in Mona. What ZANU-PF just did, yes, Monzora paved way for ZANU-PF to pass all those oppressive bills. And Gadoshamska kuona vanhu vachiti Monzora mudenga. Achiti Monzora oye, zvinoshamisa. Jonathan akazvitaura kuti havana power. Vakutobvunda vanhu. Ndochokwadi ichocho. Saka mwana ndataura nhasi kati, let me discuss about power, politics and leadership. So that you guys see. That mudzokerere audio video inoi. Muiterere foot. I'm going to upload it on YouTube. Munyasoterera zvonachitaura in terms of power, leadership and politics. Politically, we've got a dysfunctional political system. The one that was set by Dambudzo Mnangagwa, it's very unfortunate. It was never a tactic. It was never a strategy, but it was a flop. Ana mkoma justice ndakaimaka mbokoyo. Musamaka anda kudzidziswa mwana mdiki. Zvaanotaura hazvina substance. But anda kudzidziswa chete. Could I understand the political tactics and strategies that can move a country forward? Because the dependence syndrome he was praising today does never or does not move a country forward. A technique of gaining power in a devious manner, practicing evil, or extremists. Vakuita ngemajihadists. ZANU-PF nemajihadists hazvina kusiyana. Hazvina kusiyana ZANU-PF nemajihadists. Musanyeperwa. Ndosaka muri kuona kukwekwe ZANU-PF yaive nedepartment neyouth yavo yavaidaidza kuti 𝗟𝗲𝗶𝗶𝗶𝗿. Kana ndisinyepa motaura ndiri kunyepa. Owen Muda Ncube was leading a department runs 𝗟𝗲𝗶𝗶𝗶 kukwekwe. And they are happy with jihadism. Those ZANU-PF people are jihadists. In Kwekwe, they had 𝗟𝗲𝗶𝗶𝗶, which went to destroy properties and beat up people, killed people. Vana blessing chebundo akaurayirwa muningina. And unorona nhasi rangu rembedza zvitama zvinenge zvegwite. Handi pamberi nezano ndakati godoi. Andimuona. A person who support ZANU-PF and is a jihadist. And those jihadists, you find themselves in Kwekwe. They used to call themselves, 𝗟𝗲𝗶𝗶𝗶. And after insulting the journalists on Al Jazeera, then you expect investors to come. Even that the behavior that was shown, Zimbabwe people need to realize the power of ZANU, not ZANU. True. Mkoma Chad review. Zimbabweans, as namkoma urayai, as the leader, ZANU, emadhara don't care nekuti mazuva awo amashoma panyika. Thank you mkom sekuru Ed. Mugwanda anotaura kunge Zimbabwe iproperty yababa vake. No, those are failed political tactics and strategies. Haana chinyowani chaachatiudza ka takabva neZANU kudhara takakura iripo. haana chinyowani mwana wacho anouya kuzokuudzai. Ari kuuya kuzopemberera dependence syndrome, which is a dysfunctional political tactics that will never work. That is not a strategy at all. Ona. Chandakukumbira maZimbabweans chete. Let's stop backbiting. Let's stop embracing idiots. Let's demolish idiots in our country. Let's stop embracing it. The more you raise your hand, that means you are demolishing the fabric or the political strategies that we had put in place. Setting up for failure. That's what we have seen in our country. As atisuda kutuka vanhu Yuda, atisuda kuvatuka ndo chokwadi mukoma chadi. Atisuda kuvatuka, but we have to describe and define them. Divide and rule that they used in our country. It was a dysfunctional political tactics, which has backfired now to ZANU-PF. Playing my territorial games. It was a political strategy, but which backfired again. So if you look at them, they no longer exercise control. They've lost power because they presided over a dysfunctional political system. This is why you every time, every day. Vakungoya to explain. Slogan, because they have presided over a dysfunctional political system. And the MDC alliance haisukugona kushandisa mass. No coordination between the leadership and the people. Let's focus. Thank you, Ngoma Deft Bendes. Thank you so much. I think the political leadership at MDC, most of them, they watch my videos. Because kana MDC singa watch my videos, acha watch kwa nani? MaZANU-PF anoswera pano. MaCI anoswera pano. Military intelligence inoswera pano. Vaida kunzwa ndataurei. Hanzi inonzi political chichi, hanzi inonzi chiya act yavarida kuisa iyai. Hanzi ndeyangu akanzi hanzi 𝗟𝗲𝗶𝗶𝗿 anyarare. Andini mona. Hanzi kana uchiti pamberi ZANU unenge uchirwa neprogress ndo chokwadi sekuru. Saka you find out that a dysfunctional system which was set by ZANU-PF, it has made them explain time and again. They come here, explain. People want answers. They have got no answers. 2002 win, 2008 win, 2013 win, 2018 win. I think we are tolerant. We are really tolerant. Because by 2000, apana paka wina ZANU election. Ukazowa kuda ZANU anani kuvu kuti yai manya ikuno. Vai Israel uya ikuno. Wauda ZANU ari Beni Menashe uya ikuno. Vari kuziva kuti kuno kuti kupiswa nevanhu. Andimona. So what I am saying here is ZANU-PF politics is hating the country. ZANU-PF members, they are hating the country. MDC is carrying an excess baggage of trying to patch up or console the people who are in a political dysfunctional state. Too much politics to ZANU-PF has resulted in this wasted time. 41 years of stagnant, no development, deterioration of everything. Our efforts that we have put to try make Zimbabwe a productive country again have been buried by ZANU-PF. MDC is fighting to make Zimbabwe a productive country again, so that you guys enjoy honey and milk. But ZANU-PF has shown a lower commitment, lower moral, lower people's expectations. And ZANU-PF knows that their days are numbered. This is what they know. This is why you see they are always they're always on as I like the conversation, but killed by Shona brother, more English people. Bafana Brighton, thank you so much. But what I'm saying here, guys, is this is why you see ZANU-PF is always made to explain things. This is why you see Mnangagwa, every time he comes, it's like Anubatora come Daroyo. Is made to explain things. If you see every time ZANU-PF come, even live on Facebook, on television, everywhere, they adopt what we call a defensive political exercise that can only be adopted by a ruling party in a dysfunctional political system, where you always talk defending what you thought were political strategies, which are now backfiring. People now, if you see ZANU-PF people now, or those people in leadership in ZANU-PF, they've tried to combat this political behavior of their supporters, but they can't stop them now. They've used excessive violence to create a dysfunctional state. Now ZANU-PF can no longer stop them. They can't. They have no powers at all. They created Anamarabu. You understand? This is why you see ZANU-PF can no longer control the marauders, those thieves, those people who kill people. As it's like Tom and Jerry cartoons. Yes. The techniques that ZANU-PF thought were using as a strategy or a tactic eventually created a dysfunctional state, dysfunctional part, a dysfunctional economy. Everything has stopped in our country. Today, ZANU-PF cannot attempt to open any communication with anyone. Your political behavior, people of Zimbabwe today are avoiding ZANU-PF people. This is why I see that video of ZANU-PF people. There were only 5 in the UK, 5 or 6, who were saying, Pamberi, Pamberi, Pamberi. You don't see Zimbabweans there. They are just misguided individuals. We have set a good example of how Zimbabwe must run in between 2009 and 2013. We took over a constrained government, but the MDC troops, which went into the government of national unity, they proved beyond reasonable doubt, unquestionable, that they are the cream of the state. And I told you that look after this government of national unity, ZANU-PF will be smiling, yes, they've revived us, but it's just for few months or a few weeks. That will be the end. Honey and milk is not coming without sweat, so we must sweat for it. Look at what Chad did. So, the way forward, ladies and gentlemen, starting from today onwards, let's network together. Network with influential people. Good night. So network with influential people. Let's network. Change is coming. If we don't network, then we will lose it. So what we need is network with influential people. Starting today, look for influential people around you. Network with them. Expand that network. Make sure you tell people what I'm saying. Send these videos to people and say, guys, let's network. You are influential. You are the power. Let's help our president to manage our environment successfully, our political arena successfully. Let's network with influential people. Let's help the people to manage their lives. Let's help the people to manage their political affairs. Let's volunteer. Let's give ourselves assignments starting from today to say, guys, I've got an assignment kutaura nevanhu 5 vandisingazivi. Ukazvipa assignment, talk to 5-10 people usingazivi, influence them, tell them you are the power, you have the power. Use information of power to tell them that you are the power, you've got power. And you just appear cool and tell them, look, you are the power. Don't put them under unnecessary pressure, but give them time. Inini vanhu vanondiziva paFacebook, kune vanhu vanotarisa hangu vanichiona maprofiles avo, mumwe anogona kunzwa chingomti hai ndeipi, uri sei, murume kana mukadzi. I start conversation naye. Next thing was, you msaida ndipeuka nhamba yenyu, takutotaura conversation. So if you see how many people I talk to on daily basis, unorohwa neana. I talk to various people of all ages, men, women, except children. So we can win back our country by networking. Let's network. Ukanditi hai shepherd, andrege kupindura. I might take long to answer you, but definitely I'll come and reply. Ndozoona my message later on, but I reply. So let's network with influential people. The people of Zimbabwe are so influential. And imona. Imbowewe nika yuma. Inini ya, yofuka kuna mwano, but so far in my life, asana mbona mna nondi bloga inini. But ndega mga yuma kwa ndika yaku inbox kwa ako, kunyangwa nisika kuzive tunokurukura. Mwano zote later on, saka mondi zivira kupi. Not I want to zivira pa Facebook. And imona. Because I'll be constructively disagreeing with certain things that are happening in our country. And the people feel free to engage me. So that is the type of network that we want. And let's maintain this honestiness that Zimbabweans had maintained for years. Let's open up relationships. Let's make others feel important. Ladies and gentlemen, let's make other Zimbabweans feel important. Azvina basa darara nenzara ita se network naye, taura naye munhu iyeye. Andimona, express interest in his work, express interest in whatever is happening in our country. Talk to the people, be diplomatic, learn from President Chamisa, exchange favors, talk. Akakuti ndipe phone, mpeo, phoning, talk, taurai, networking, ask for advice, give him advice, share constructive gossip. Katonyepa, ngatinyepe zviri constructive. Andimona. Kwete zvekuti munhu anozoya pano akuda kutitaurira kuti mukadzi wachamisa ukangodaro inini block ndoziva kuti hausi munhu akanaka. Andimona. What we just need to do in our society as Zimbabweans, let's reduce chinhu competition. Tesa hatina chatinacho. We just emerged from lockdown COVID. We are all suffering. And we are all suffering. We are all suffering, guys. And they couldn't bus in people from rural areas to UK like what did they always do in Zimbabwe. Ndege chao achidiwi kuno ku UK anzi achidiwi chi air Zimbabwe. And it's not a safe plane. Saka kuno ku achidiwi ere. Amen. So, I've spoken about leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, I've spoken about our politics. And I've spoken about power. Power, politics, and leadership. That is what I touched only today. And I've shown you how President Chamisa does it. How also the other side of ZANU-PF does it. And I've compared the two. I've shown you who is the actual president of a country. Where does power lies? Chinonzi power. Musazodanzi kuiswa pachigaro. Kuzvisa pachigaro kuti wane power. Haisi power. Let the people determine power. Ngatiite rudo sezvinoita rudo runa president Nelson Chamisa. Unoziva kuti inini I'm failing to contain probably 15,000 people chat. Vamwe they are from my old account, my new account, but one way 15,000 here. I'm failing to account to cater for you all, guys. Imagine vachamisa vane 16 million people who want to talk to him on daily basis. Pane pakaipa ipapo andi muri kunzwa. Saka whatever we do, ladies and gentlemen, let's remind ourselves of great leaders like Nelson Mandela. Mandela was an anti-apartheid revolutionary who went on to serve as the first black president of South Africa from 1994 to 1999. Just 1994, 1999, just 5 years, Mandela was done. People annotated him as a human rights activist. Mandela led South Africa's fight against segregation and apartheid. In 1961, Mandela co-founded Umkhonto weSizwe, a militant wing of the African National Congress, which opposed the South African government. And Mandela was arrested. He served 20 years in prison after he was convicted of sabotage and conspiracy to overthrow the government. But I mpana akaiswa kujeru ya 12 months. Akanzi Mandela akabuda mjera achitonga Zimbabwe. Those words came from Honorable Job Scholar, who told our brother that don't worry, Mandela came from there, became president. And Chagandiswa Mandela, for 27 years in prison, he was convicted of sabotage and conspiracy. They accused him of conspiring to overthrow a government. Although he was sentenced to life in prison, Mandela was released in 1990 after an international campaign successfully lobbied for his freedom, including me, that had released Mandela. Where are you? Over the course of his life, Mandela received more than 250 honors, including the Nobel Prize in 1993. Mandela died at the age of 95 on the 5th of December 2013. These are great leaders I'm talking about. Remember, I was talking about leadership, politics. I was talking about power, leadership, and politics. So I'm looking at powerful people who were loved by people. Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, Mother Teresa, who cared for the sick, who cared for the poor, who cared for the orphanage, and who cared for those who were dying, became a leader on her own. Mother Teresa created the Missionaries of Charity, which gradually expanded beyond India. She was Indian. And in 2012, consisted of more than 4,500 sisters operating in 133 countries. This is where power lies. The congregation showed his leadership, runs hospices and homes for people with HIV, leprosy, and tuberculosis, TB. Vakaita zvakawanda Mom Teresa, so that she became a hero. This is a lad akapfeka moyo waiwena vachamisa, uri vachachengeta varombo vanorwara, nherera nevari kufa. As we move on, we look at great leaders like Mahatma Gandhi, Mohandas, as Mohandas Gandhi, led a fight or the fight for Indian nationalism against British rule in 1920s. He celebrated the use of non-violent protests, inspired similar movements in support of rights and freedoms around the globe. Unoona chamisa zvaanenge achitaura. Mahatma Gandhi, he celebrated the use of non-violent protests, inspired similar protests globally. Mahatma, which translates to venerable, was an honorific, they call him honorific, first bestowed on him in 1914, South Africa, and is now widely used. Gandhi was assassinated, unfortunately, on 30th of January 1948. This is when Gandhi was assassinated. And his birthday is commemorated nationally in India. A very important person in India. If you go, great leaders like Abraham Lincoln, if we learn and live from these men, Abraham Lincoln, Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, these were great leaders of their time. And their spirit is still revived by other leaders who are rising up now. Ladies and gentlemen, the traits of a good leader, like what I've said, are you honest? If you look in ZANU-PF, those old Madaras are never honest. This is why you see they do corruption. They are incompetent, those Madaras. They don't communicate with people of Zimbabwe, but only use violence. Komba itrove, tinesha muine munyu, komba itrove, shows incompetence. They will never be fair in all the dealings that they do in our country. They are not committed to see a developed country. When they were told about bullet trains, about spaghetti roads, they frowned. Because honestly, they are never committed to the development of a country. But we have got a courageous leader who talks straightforward to them, that they must know, they must say. President Chamisa is such a blessing. He is really a blessing. I've even heard people from Mozambique, Vashtaura, the way he communicates. This guy is an influencer. Someone was tweeting me, "Oh, Shepherd, your president is a mentor. He is a leader, born naturally. He took control. He's got a responsibility. He motivates and supports people. He is not ethnic. He doesn't look at you whether in Ndebele or he speaks Ndebele, he speaks Shona. His contribution so far, since he came to be president of MDC, we have seen a vision in him. He likes to work with everybody, team working, managerial skills. He's got everything that you look into a leader. So we look into his communication, his influence, his mentorship. You look at his responsibility. He takes them. He's so motivating. He supports you and me. Well, I like this vision. So this is something that lacks even in ZANU-PF. So if you see your actions inspiring others to dream more, learn more, do more, or become more, you are a leader. Morgan is more, because his actions inspired a lot of people. He made us dream of a new Zimbabwe. He made us learn more. He made us do more. He made us become more. And Morgan was a more thing. Every time he talks to us, he said Morgan. You understand? So he created a leader. Paga tora vachamisa kuvaita vice president. Vana Monzora vaivepo. Vana Komichi vaivepo. Asi Tsvangirai haana kuvaita ma-vice president for a reason. Tsvangirai ndiye akanga aita kuti Monzora aite secretary general. Zvezvekuita kunge vanhu vakazopesera muda Morgan akaimpoza Monzora kumuita secretary general. But akazoona pamberi kuti ndaisa gonzo mudura, ndaisa mutengesi, ndapfeka njombo ine nyoka. This is why you see later on Tsvangirai created a leader he mentored to say, followers, please, here is a person with all leadership qualities which you need to follow. Type of Chamisa leadership or those type of people are rarely found in this world. They rarely exist, but we are lucky to have been presented with one. So we aim to fulfill the wishes of Tsvangirai and the wishes of Zimbabweans together. He has so far proved to be a team leader, operational leader, strategic leader, the leader that Zimbabweans are looking for. Now, anasa pane munhu ari kukomplaina azi makandirasa kumaskad. So what we see in our president Vachamisa, you all agree with me that he uses charm to get the admiration of the followers. He shows concern for his people and looks after people's needs, talks about your needs, looks after your needs. He shows concern of you than any other leader in Zimbabwe. He creates a comfortable and friendly atmosphere for every Zimbabwean. So this is why you see the guy is so loved, is followed and is listened by many people. He heals our hearts. And in more. So what do I need to do? Myself, I need to be a facilitator to make sure that I facilitate ideas and I share the information with you guys. So we need to arrive at the end goals of everything that we do. So we consider your opinions, consider my opinions. Factors must be laid bare for us all to agree, to say, look, takwenda mberi. If we do that, then we contain any situation that will come our way, because we create this capability that we all have to say, varume ndo zvavapo. Whatever limitations, whatever barriers which will come our way, let's be dynamite. Let's explode. Let's make sure that all the barriers, we remove them. Then we realize the Zimbabwe that we want. What I'm just doing here is just giving you a motivation so that you guys see what I've seen for quite some time. That made me talk every 8 o'clock in the evening. Oh, sweetheart. Oh, sweetie. Oh, sweetie. Oh, this is my granddaughter. Sweetheart. Oh, how are you? German, I'm okay. How are you? So, ladies and gentlemen, the guy in the Vanda pays. And the baby, quiet baby. Mona baby, ndane baby. Be careful. Hey, German. So, guys, what about Boris? German? Is some sort of.
I can't eat.
My firstborn.
My
Right.
last born.
Ndakupedza German.
How long?
Izvozvi. Ndakupedza. Because Rachi is to summarize on things that I discussed with people. Mko sekuredi. Ndachirega indipedze. Have a nice day, ladies and gentlemen. What we want to deal with in Zimbabwe is to make sure that this authoritarian or autocratic leadership, or the people who keep strict, close control over followers, using a violence against the people of Zimbabwe, those people must leave the political arena. We need them to see that authoritarian doesn't work. No time for Hitler anymore in our country. And no, Mdara Shepherd, we need you back here. Kumushatite zvamukutaura izvozvo. Ndinouya mkoma pambuka. Musandishikire ndinouya. Andirimaona. So I spoke about Mahatma Gandhi. He was the primary leader of India's independence movement and also the architect of a form of civil disobedience that would influence the world. And we need vanhu vakaita sevava vana Mudhara Chamisa. Andirimaona. Saka let's see what we have in our country, guys. Resistors. People who derail every plan are found in ZANU-PF. Gossipers. People who spread rumors and tell inappropriate stories like Wanam Gwadi. They are found in ZANU-PF. Blamers. They are constantly blaming others. They are sanctions. They are blamers. They cry, they think they are victims, whilst they are perpetrators of violence. And people who are pessimists, the ZANU-PF people, they always expect worst scenario because of their failures. They boil at a slight provocation. Zotorira food. Vanotemba food. They complain a lot, those people. Saka, let's be choosers. Let's resist them. Let's detach them from their politics of violence. Ndofunga mandinzwa zvandataura wakomana kuti nyaya yapo. Let's be together. Let's fight together. Let's make ZANU-PF see that what we are fighting for is to make sure that we increase productivity of our nation. Tapedza navo. Enjoy, guys. Anzingano tichitandara ndo chokwadi. So the end results of authoritarian is what we have seen in Chad today, 20 April 2021, where Chad President 𝗟𝗲𝗱𝗿 was assassinated by militants from the north after 30 years in rule and on the same day of re-election. These are the end results of dictators. The army of Chad, they issued a statement announcing the news and saying that 𝗍𝗍 got injured while commanding troops on the front lines as militants were heading towards the capital. On Monday, 𝗍𝗍, aged 68, he was re-elected on Monday, which is yesterday, for a 6th term after 30 years in rule. In tandem, the Libyan-based militants attacked their border posts and advanced hundreds of kilometers south across the desert. The Chadian army announced dissolving the parliament and the government as well as forming a military council headed by Mohammed Idris Deby to lead the country for 18 months, promising to hold democratic elections after the transitional period. It also declared shutting down the urban borders. Nyaya yako yakanaka mkuru, asi iwe ugare ikoko unganyura. Zvakanaka imkoma God. Thank you for your concerns, my brother. So, breaking news. Chad president assassinated by militants from the north. Lastly, Ndakwenda. Lastly, the jihadists, they have responded to our deployment of soldiers in Mozambique. They said Zimbabwe has invited us. So we are miters. We are going to blow Zimbabwe. Saka vanhu vari kumusha tadenherwa nehurumende yedu. Saka ngatigarei takangwarira kuti anytime tinogona kuatakwa nemakuhano aya hana musoro. Handinotenda mukoma Judha nekutipa ushingi ticharamba takashinga mukoma 𝗟𝗲𝗱𝗶𝗶𝗿 zvakanaka mukoma batanai tiite chinhu chimwe chete. Now muri kuona tadenherwa. We've opened another front. A difficult war might be coming our way with the jihadists. Those people, they don't care. They just go kudimbura musoro kuuraya. Havana basa uri mwana uri anu uri musoja uri mupurisa uri chini. They are miters. The people who sacrifice their life, they love dying. So they don't care as long as they attack you and kill you, that's fine. To them it's okay. Saka tadenherwa nehurumende yedu. Saka totoshinga wakomana. Nyika yedu munoziva kuti mamiriro atakaita munomaziva. Tikaatakwa nemajihadisi inoswera yaCaliphate. Maane sharia law. Kabaundi murwa maoko unosungwa vanhu vanonga vachiurawa murodhi. Zvinhu zvatisingade kuona muZimbabwe naye. Saka for tonight, enjoy guys. Good night.